and welcome to the Meeple Podcast. My name is Bill Bryce.
And I'm Hollis Biggs.
And today we are going to talk about a couple of kind of party-esque games again. Obviously, I think you're noticing potentially a trend that we kind of like these sorts of games, especially for getting people into the hobby. Nothing excites people quite like playing games with bunches and bunches of other people, apparently.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yes. So which one would you like to talk about first?
Let's talk about For Sale first.
Okay. For Sale by, I believe, Eagle Griffin Games. And For Sale is for 3 to 6 players. And it is... it's a game that's actually gets a lot of buzz and a lot of hype in the board game community, even amongst heavier board gamers, because it is very light. It's very simple, but there is a lot of strategy to it, and I think it's a good way to get people. I think people who don't normally play games a lot still find something fun in this game. So basically it's a bidding game. So you have some coins and you have these properties, and the properties are numbered, I believe, 1 through 30. And so you lay out however many properties there are a number of players. So say in a 4-player game, you lay out 4 properties just randomly. So you might have a 2, a 7, a 25, and the 30 or something. So then each player, starting with player 1, bids a certain amount. So they might bid one coin. And the next person can either pass or overbid them. So maybe the next person is like, no, I really want that 30, so I'm going to bid 3. So the next person's like, wow, 3. Okay, I'm going to do 4. And the 4th person's like, too rich for my blood, I'm going to pass. So when he passes, he takes the lowest value property card on the board. The next person to pass will get the second lowest, and then until there's one person left, and then that person who gets the highest card, who won the bid, actually has to pay with their bid. They pay their money. The other players, I believe, only have to pay half. So you can bid high, and they might not even have to pay anything. But anyway, so you end up at the end of this whole thing, after you go through the whole deck, a bunch of properties in your hand. Everybody ends up with an equal number of properties. So then you have these checks, which are between $2 and I think $15. And so you lay out, just like you did with the properties, you lay out the same number of checks as you have players. So you have maybe like a $3, a $5, a $7, and an $8 out there in this 4-player game. So everybody looks at their properties that they had collected previously. They all pick one, and they put it face down. Everybody flips. The order of the properties determines the order of the value of checks that they get. So if you were the highest property, you'd get the highest check value. If you're the lowest ranked property that you put out there, then you would get the lowest value of check. You go through all of the checks, which will empty your hand of properties, and you add up your checks, and you're the winner if you have the most. That's it. It sounded way more complicated than it is.
I was going to say, one thing that I really liked about this game was how easy it was. Not because I don't think I won this game by any means, but
No.
because we played this a few weeks ago now, but it was such a fun game, and it's so quick and doesn't require, quite frankly, a ton of skill to play.
No.
So the bidding is a relatively easy concept. Pretty much anyone can catch on pretty quickly. But the other thing that I found kind of funny about this game is that these properties are well illustrated. So, for example, the number 2 property card, your second lowest, is an outhouse. I think your number 1 is I think it's either a cardboard box
I think
or
it's
like a
cardboard.
manhole,
Yeah,
maybe.
I think it's a cardboard box.
It's something pretty not great. And they're illustrated in a funny way to demonstrate that, like, hey, you know this one's not worth much because it's kind of,
A cardboard box.
yeah, not a house.
Right.
But then, like, number 30 is a space station. So
Yeah.
obviously the most expensive, kind of wild, but very cool to see. So I thought, it's fun. I think this one in particular is well done. I think it's well illustrated and, again, pretty easy to play. I think that where I struggled in this game is that there's not a ton of incentive to, after all the cards have been dealt out, to hang on to any coins in your hand, right?
Well, you do get, you add those coins to your checks. So those actually can be somewhat valuable. But if you have a whole bunch of coins left, then you probably got a bunch of real crap properties, which got you a whole lot of really bad checks. So having a lot of them left over is probably not the best idea. But if you can get some good deals, by maybe bidding somebody else up for something they really want, and you've got them bidding 7 or 8, and you're like, okay, you can have it, and they've wasted all their money, and you only had to pay a little bit. Then you may end up with a bunch at the end, just having kind of gotten decent deals, because you could swing in at the end when a 28 comes out and everybody's already kind of spent most of their coins. Now you can move in with a 5-coin bid and kind of guarantee that you get that. So there can be some strategy to holding on to the coins, but I think that's probably, this game in most instances will kind of motivate you to use your coins to the best of your ability.
I think if I'm recalling correctly, Alex actually won playing this game, and it was infuriating because for those of you that don't know, Alex is my fiance, but also Bill's brother.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a horrible habit of just blacking out whenever we talk about the rules to a game. He just zones out. I swear he doesn't hear a thing we say. And so I think he actually saved, if I'm recalling correctly, he saved most of his coins, got pretty okay properties, but still won the game with the pretty okay properties he had not bid on. And those coins did come in clutch at the very end. You're right.
They did. Yeah. He's his standard go-to is whenever it's we're about to start playing, he looks up and he's like, "Okay, so what do I do?" I'm like, "We just explained this for like 20 minutes."
Oh yeah.
Like went through
In
all
depth.
these different things. Yeah. And he's like, "Well, we'll figure it out." I'm like, I don't know. It hasn't. There are occasions it's gone very well for him, and there are occasions it has not. So don't be like Alex. If you want your friends to play more games with you, that's
so true.
Yes.
It is an infuriating strategy, but I suppose a strategy nonetheless.
indeed. So what would you give this?
So I really liked For Sale. I think it could have come in a smaller box.
Definitely
guys
should have
know
come in a
that
smaller box.
That is big for me. But it is very portable. It's a quick game. It takes about 20 to 30 minutes to play. And I think total rules would take less than 5 minutes to explain.
Oh, for sure.
And so because of that, I am going to give this one an 8.
Okay. I'm going to give this one an 8.5 because I've had a lot of success with introducing this game to people who aren't necessarily really into playing games, but still have had a lot of fun. When I take this game out, I actually put everything in a Ziploc bag, so it's substantially more portable because this box is truly ridiculous. The insert is gigantic.
It
it's
almost
just like
looks like
a lot of air.
a 300 to 500 piece puzzle
Yeah.
box.
Yeah,
Like it's not small. And
No.
it's for
it's just a handful of
60 cards
Yeah. Yeah.
max, maybe, a little more than a deck and a handful of chips. So
Yeah,
that's about it.
It's definitely could have come in a substantially smaller box. But yeah, I like it a lot. I give it an 8.5. I would give it higher, except for the fact that I don't I haven't normally had a lot of call to like play this again and again and again right afterwards. It can kind of start to feel a little samey, especially repeat plays with the same people. But it is a lot of fun, and it's always a good way to start off game night, especially if you've got 6 people and you're looking for that game before people kind of pair off or go into threes or what have you. It's a good one for that. So what's next?
The next game we're going to talk about is Things in Rings.
Things in Rings by All Play Games. Another game by All Play Games that we really, really liked and reviewed before was Mountain Goats, if everyone remembers that from our Dice, and More Dice episode.
Which I think is maybe still one of my highest rated games.
Yeah,
I think.
It's definitely probably top 4 or 5 for sure.
Pretty solid one.
Yeah, yep. And I got an expansion for it, and I also got a 5th player expansion for it. So look for that in the future. But back to Things in Rings. Things in Rings is a party game for 2 to 6, although I don't necessarily recommend it at 2. I think 3 is the minimum I would play this, to be honest. But it's a party game. There are these 3 rings. There's a red one, a blue one, and a yellow one. They're like
they're almost like shoestrings,
yeah,
but like thinner.
Like shoestrings, but they're in circles. So you can place them out on the table, kind of in the form of like a Venn diagram, and each ring represents something different. Like
an attribute.
The yellow one is like a word. So it could be like something about the spelling of the word, or the rhyming of the word, or something about the way the word is spelled or pronounced. The blue one is an attribute, which is like, what would you say?
An attribute has a rule about the physical properties.
Okay.
Like size or weight or shape.
Yeah. And the red one is context, and that one tends to be the more difficult one to guess. And it's usually things like how something is used or where it's typically found, kind of thing. So you have it in this Venn diagram, and you have like hundreds of these cards that have words on them. Things like shirt, match, trumpet, pig, hospital, pacifier, chimney, airplane. The list could go on. And they're just regular old things. So everybody gets a hand of 5 cards, except for one player gets, everybody gets 5 cards, including the one player who is known as the knower. And the knower knows what the word clue, the attribute clue, and the context clue all are. So they understand what these things are. They'll draw these out in card form early on. And so they go through and they pick 3 of the 5 cards and they place them in the Venn diagram in these rings. So like, does this card say, does this goldfish, does it fit into the attribute, the context, or the word, or just 2 of them, or all 3 of them, or does it not fit in with any of them? Because it can also actually go into the outside, so it means that it's not any of those things. And examples of like a word could be like repeating double letters, or starts with the letter G, or has exactly 6 letters in it, or something like that. So like maybe an attribute could be something like bigger than an elephant, or
is cold,
or is often blue, or something like that. Context could be something like found in a library, often found in a library, or something to that effect. So the knower is trying to help everyone else place their cards. So everyone on their turn, after the knower places out their 3 cards to kind of give clues to everybody, each player in turn order takes one of their cards from their hand. They'll have 5, and they place it where they think it goes, either in 1 ring, 2 rings, or all 3 rings, or outside of the rings. And the knower, if they got it right, they said that's correct, and then that person gets to place another card. If they are not correct, the knower takes the card, places it where it's supposed to go to continue to give clues, and that person, the person who played the card, has to draw a card. So they're back up to their 5. So this goes on until somebody gets rid of all 5 of their cards, and that person is the winner. So it is competitive, but the knower is trying to encourage people along and trying to get people to sort of understand what the different rings mean. You don't have to guess what it is, but it can be kind of fun at the end to say, well, what did you think the attribute was? Or what did you think the word clue was? Or what did you think the context was? So, what'd you think?
So I had a lot of fun playing Things in Rings. If you guys couldn't tell from the title, and we'll post a photo of the box and the cards and things like that, this is kind of I'm not trademarking this or anything, but this is kind of like a Dr. Seuss themed game.
Yes, it has a Dr. Seuss, a very Dr. Seuss-y look to it.
Font, colors, images.
But it is not
correct, yes.
Dr. Seuss, because that would be trademark infringement.
However, I think this game is a lot of fun. We played this 2 times in a row.
Mm-hmm.
The first time we played, I was a little frustrated because I think I just wasn't quite grasping, well, if you don't give me the word or the clue here, how am I supposed to figure out where my cards are going? And
from context,
dang near every card I put down was returned or moved, which means I have to draw another card.
Yes.
And it's a card shedding game. I'm trying to get rid of my cards in my hand. So, a little bit of, I don't know that it's strategy necessarily, but I would say something that would have helped me is if I had read you a little bit better as the knower to gather some of the clues.
Yes.
So once we played the second time, I enjoyed it a lot more and had a great time.
Yes, and these clues, sometimes they can be a little bit subjective. Like there was this one card, underwear, and the context was often found in a school.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I put it in there. I did, because I feel like not only are all the kids wearing underwear in a school,
Fingers
but
crossed.
like a gym, there could be jock straps. Like, it's not unusual to find underwear, wedgies. It's not unusual to find underwear in a school. So I went ahead and did that. So,
meanwhile, I was out here thinking it's things you find in an office, and I was like, if you find underwear in an office, not on someone's body,
right,
that is weird.
It is.
However,
offices would be much rarer to be like, oh, here's a location in the office that happens to have a bunch of underwear in it.
So that was an example of me getting the clue wrong, which is okay. It happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're wrong. Sometimes you have to draw another card. It's not the end of the world. However, I still had a lot of fun playing this. Even the first time, even though I was struggling, I still had a good time. But I appreciated that we took the time to play it a second time. And then the other thing I would say that I found particularly challenging the first time we played is that I thought the overlapping clues would help a lot more. I did not find them helpful necessarily.
They don't always. Yeah, that may just, because then instead of trying to figure out what this one thing has in common that the other things don't, or has in common with it, you're like, gosh. Now you're crossing all kinds of stuff. And so, I agree that that's not always the most helpful. But I know you liked this game because most games we play and you're like, that was fun. What's next? But this game, literally, as soon as we finished playing, she's like, you are like,
Yep.
I want to play again. Let's play again.
I did.
And that is not a super common occurrence. Sometimes I'll suggest we play something again, but a lot of times, especially if we're playing something for the podcast, a time through is a good way to sort of evaluate. But yeah, this got a repeat play, which I feel like is
Which
says
sometimes
something.
means I really like it, and sometimes means this game was infuriating, and I have to know if I'm just really bad at it or if it's just not my type of game.
It may have been both.
This one was a little bit of both. I did like it, but I was also frustrated. I, again, very much enjoyed it the second time I played it, but Bill is a great knower. I think that is also kind of important. Not everyone would like being the knower.
True.
I think, I love being judge and jury on things, so
Yeah,
I probably wouldn't be a terrible knower.
Yeah, I really like being the knower. I've never not been the knower in any of the times we've played, and I have played it 2-player, and that's why I don't recommend 2-player. We played it 4-player, and I think it was pretty ideal. 5 or 6, I think, would be great. 3 would be fine. 3 would still give you the full experience. 2 just didn't necessarily do it for me. So,
there's some modifications for 2-player, right?
Yeah,
You're
there's
not using all 3 rings
there's
or
a
something?
co-op variant. You can also affect the difficulty of this game with there are easy, medium, and hard clues for all of the different rings. And you can also use just 1 ring, just 2 rings, or all 3 rings, which add or subtract from the difficulty. So, I really, really like it. How much did you like it?
So I'm going to give this one a 7. I liked it a lot. I feel like that is a little lower than what you thought I was going to give it.
It is.
Here's the reason why. While it's very portable, there are 1,000 cards. It does take a little bit of space to play it. And I think, quite frankly, this game deserves a second try for just about everybody. So I think, is this one I would pull out to a new crew of board gamers or people trying to get people into the hobby? Not as a first game. This is not what I'd introduce them to. So while I liked it a lot, I feel like a 7's still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I would potentially re-rank it later, a little higher. But for right now, I'm going with a 7. So
yeah, this does feel like it probably does appeal more to somebody who enjoys games and has played more games, because they can kind of get a feel for some of the underlying subtext involved, and sometimes you just have to be okay with ambiguity. You can't expect that every single thing fits exactly perfectly into any one particular space. So part of it too is like you said, knowing the knower and kind of reading where you think they would sort of put something. So,
and this game does say it's for ages 10 plus. I'm going to say it might be a little higher.
Yeah. I'm not sure I'd play this with a 10-year-old.
Yeah, I'm sure there are lots of 10-year-olds that would be very good at this and would love it a lot. I'm just, for me personally, and for the handful of 10-year-olds I know, this is not for it.
Facts. I would give this an 8. I really enjoyed it a lot, and it's something I would absolutely bring to game night, especially with people that I know play a lot of games or like games. So that's
it's a solid rating.
It's a big thumbs up for me. So, all right. Well, I think that will do it. Some news. So, obviously, you keep hearing us refer to my brother Alex as Hollis's fiance, and that is true. And all fiancés turn into husbands or wives. So in this particular instance, we probably only have a couple more episodes left this season. And then we will take a wedding break between seasons 1 and 2. And then we'll be back with all kinds of fun and exciting games and reviews and suggestions and thingamabobs.
Heck yeah.
As I like to call them.
Yeah, sorry for the short hiatus, but
We still got a few weeks. You still got
Yeah.
a few weeks.
We got some time.
Yeah. We're still gonna have a few more episodes, and we'll let you know as the countdown continues. But just wanted you to be aware of that, so it's not taking anybody by surprise. If you'd like to complain about that, and or suggest any games, give any feedback, or just generally get in touch with us, you can do so by emailing us at themeeplepodcast@gmail.com. You can check us out themeeplepodcast.com. You can look for us on Facebook. Just search The Meeple Podcast. And last but not least, Instagram. We always love to hear Instagram at The Meeple Podcast.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your reviews. So thanks for
Absolutely.
listening.